Hello everyone, my name is Mohit and I welcome you all in this Python parallel programming series. In the previous video, we have discussed about the problem regarding the lock mechanism, lock. Okay, you have seen the problems. Now let's see the solution. What is the problem? Actually, problem was the lock created by the lock class does not remember which thread acquires it. In this problem, so this is the first problem. In this problem, what we have done, the second function called by the thread 1 and thread 2, right? And here in this function, we are just only acquiring the logs. Means these two threads, first and second, try to acquire this log. So first acquired the log and second waiting so that thread 1 release that log. Okay, so that thread 2 acquires this one. But there is no release statement. After 5 seconds, this one, third function run by the thread 3 releases the lock acquired by thread 1. So this is a problem here. As you know, binary lock does not remember which one acquired it, so any thread can release it. So that is the problem, is acquired by thread 1 and released by thread 3. Can't you think this is a security bug? Okay, so this is a problem with lock. Python lock problem. Let's wait for 5 seconds. Yeah, this is a security bug acquired by first but released by third. So this security problem can be eliminated by the R lock, re-entrant lock, again and again. So R lock, re-entrant lock. In this one, R lock remembers that which thread acquires it. Now this time if I run lock problem, let's wait for 5 seconds. Oh, I'm getting error. So error means if the bug of a code causing the error. Error say can't release unacquired lock. And which line number? Line number 13 in third. So line number 13 says that how can you release the lock which is not acquired by you? Okay, so that's a bug. So if there is a bug, we cannot use this kind of code. So problem solved. Now let's see the second problem. In this problem, this one, the problem was infinite waiting. So I'm closing the previous window. Okay. Python lock problem 2. Okay, so I have already used here rlock. So okay, just this one. Now it's working, but if I remove the rlock, you can see the problem. Okay, infinite waiting. So that problem we solved by the rlock, because rlock remember which one acquires it. So the acquire statement this time will not stop the th1, because the th1 already acquired the lock, and when it called the first in that function there is a statement of acquiring lock again, so it is already acquired, so this statement should not stop the thread 1. Okay, because now this time lock remembers that which one acquires it. So that's the problem solved by the rlock. Let's see what is the meaning of rlock. So rlock effective function that returns a new re-entrant lock object. A re-entrant lock must be released by the thread that acquires it. So solved the first problem. Once a thread has acquired a re-entrant lock, the same thread may acquire it again without blocking. So that's the second problem, solved by the second problem. The thread must release it once for each time it has acquired it. Okay, so that's the rlock. So that is I have listed some difference between lock versus R lock. The main difference is that the lock can only be acquired once. It cannot be acquired again until it released. So that's a lock. But on the other hand, R lock can be acquired multiple times by the same thread. It needs to be released the same number of time in order to be unlocked. Another difference is that an acquired lock can be released by any thread, while an acquired R lock can only be released by the thread which acquired it. Okay, so that's the difference between lock and R lock. Now the main topic of this video, that's the GIL, Global Interpreter Lock. First of all, we need to understand some concept about the thread. First, the threads in Python are the real system threads. For Linux, these are the POSIX thread. For Windows, these are the Windows thread. And these threads are completely managed by the host operating system, like switching, okay, interprocess, whatever inside this one, switching on all this is context switching, all the things, and scheduling managed by the host operating system. Okay, so its performance largely depend upon the operating system. Only one thread can execute in the interpreter. Means interpreter can execute only the one thread at one time. It's not like a multiprocessing. It's like a context is a switching from one task to another task. There is a global interpreter lock that carefully controls the thread execution. Means there is already a lock. You don't need to specify specifically lock this kind of lock, R lock kind of thing. There is a already lock, and we call that global. We call that lock is a global interpreter lock. And short form is GIL, G-I-L. The GIL ensures that, so it's a mistake here. Each thread gets exclusive access to the interpreter internals when it is running. I will tell you what is the meaning of tick. Now the GIL implementation. The GIL is not just a simple mutex lock, one binary lock. Okay. Python does not have the thread scheduler. As we already discussed, Python does not schedule the threads. It is totally done by the operating system. Okay. Now, before jumping to the GIL behavior, we need to understand there are two type of tasks: IO bound task and CPU bound task. In the IO bound task, there is a waiting time. You can say some internal delay in the task. Okay, internal delay how? Consider I am just pinging packets like facebook.com. So when I ping it, you can see here 282 millisecond, 145 millisecond, 161 millisecond. So this is the round trip time. Okay. You can imagine the making of this ICMP packet. So ping is a program here, and ICMP packet, I am sending ICMP packet. So making of ICMP packet by my computer. My computer is a Core i7 computer. You can imagine just 1 or 2 millisecond max it will take to form a one packet. That is the actual work. But time is 63 milliseconds. It has to wait for these 63 milliseconds. Before sending to the next packet, has to wait for 63 milliseconds. So that's waiting is IO bound. So threads can take the advantage of that waiting time. This is the process like I'm sending continuous packet, but in one by one. Okay, before sending this packet, second packet, the program has to wait for 63 millisecond, and before sending the third packet, program has to wait for 282 seconds. So that's a waiting time, and we can take the advantage of waiting time. Making a packet just will take just 2 or 1 millisecond. Okay, but sending and receiving, that's the actual time plus the total time. So we can take this waiting time in order to do some other task. Okay, it's kind of cooperating multitasking. Okay, when some process will take time which is not depend upon the thread, so thread can do another task in that time. So what happened? See this diagram. If there is a IO bound task, means there is a waiting time. So first uh, run After it check, okay, there is a IO bound, means there is a waiting time. Then release the GIL. First, acquire the GIL. Acquiring the GIL means get the exclusive access on that task. Then, when there is a IO bound, release so that other thread acquired it. So after other thread acquires it, then after means completion of IO bound, it acquires it again, the first thread, and after run this task, next IO bound release, after waiting again acquire, run its own task, then release. Okay, means you can see, imagine there is a task. This is a actual work. This is a waiting. This is actual work. This is a waiting. Okay, and here this is second one. Second. Okay, I want to complete T1 as well as T2. There is a waiting time. You can say this is a waiting time here. Depend upon maybe the process. Maybe this task depend upon other response. Okay, and there is a waiting time here. Okay, first a single process do this work. Okay, now waiting time. In the waiting time, shift to next work. After done, in the waiting time, shift to the next one. Like this. Means take the advantage of waiting time and shift to the another. Okay. It is like a one person is doing two things, like making a tea, making a rice. When there's a little bit gap of making a rice, means rice are boiling, so you can shift your attention to the tea making. Now tea is boiling right now, so you can take shift your attention to the rice again. So in this one, shifting the attention one to another, this is called the cooperating multitasking, and threads are best for this kind of cases. Next, the main case, CP bound. When there is no chance of delay. So in this one, there is no meaning to create a thread. Okay, because threads, creation of thread will not give you any good result. There is no parallelism. It means that CP bound means there is no kind of waiting, like two tasks, intensive calculation, task 1 and task 2. What happened in the reality? Task 1, task 2. Okay, process start running this one. Okay, then check. After 100 ticks, check if any other want to take that thread. Consider this is 10 seconds for 10 seconds. Okay, T2 is waiting, so give this to T2. Consider worked for 3 seconds, and now wait for, this is waiting for 3 seconds. Now after complete some work by T2, T2 release it after 100 ticks, check, and the GIL acquired by the T1, T1 working on it, 3 seconds, 3 seconds waiting. So in this way, total 20 second plus some switching time, depend upon the operating system. Okay, 20 because there is no delay time. So 20 complete time, 20 for this one, 20 for this one, and then some switching time. Okay, there is no parallelism for CPU bound processing. Okay, so this is main thread, thread 2, thread 3, thread 4 are working in the parallel. Okay, and everyone want to take the GIL at that time. But after 100 hit check, anybody want to take GIL? Okay, I'm going to release it for few seconds. If you want to take, means main thread is saying if you want to take, you can take. So thread 2 taking it, and after thread 2 also do some ticking. After 100 ticks, thread 2 release it, acquired, and then that will be acquired by thread 3. Okay, in this one, thread uses the GIL in CP bound by using the ticks. And the periodic check. Then what happened in the periodic check? If the main thread is only signal handler, in the main thread only, signal handler will execute if there is a pending signal shortly. Okay, what happened? Actually, what happened in the periodic check? Release and require the GIL. So this is not an important thing, the first point. Okay, release and reacquire the GIL. Release for some time. Okay, if anybody want to take, no, then I'm reacquiring it again. Okay, if someone a second thread want to acquire it, okay, take for 100 ticks and then give me back. So this is about the GIL. Let's do one program. Now I'm going to show you one demo. Okay, in this demo, I am doing a CP bound task, a totally you can say CP bound process. There is no waiting time. Okay, so I am passing this number continuously minus it until it became less than zero. Okay, and then we conclude the time of this one. Now let's run this one. So I have already run one time. So now check. I think it will take 16 or 6 seconds. Let's see. Okay, 8 seconds. Now run it again and check. Okay, now it is taking the 8 seconds. Okay, this thing may depend upon the your operating system thing. Okay, what are the current load of system, are the processors, RAM speed. Okay, totally depend upon. So don't match with this my, if you write this code, you may get the different result. Okay, so it's like 8.9. Okay, CPU bound task. Now in the guild 2 second one, I am just closing this one, experimental results, and here I'm using same thing for this program. Done. Okay, now what I'm doing, I have created two functions and two threads. Both the thread works in the parallel. If parallel processing is there, the time should be same 8.9. Parallel processing there, time should be same 8.9. Near about 8. Okay, near about 8 or 9. Let's run this program guild 2. Okay, 16 seconds. 60 seconds. You can assume it's a double than the previous result, almost double. Okay, if I run it again, let's check the result. Okay, I'm getting near about the same result, is double than the previous one. Me, you can see task, single task. You can imagine task 1 and task 2. And we know the single task take the 8 second, near about 8 point something. So I told you in the starting that 8 point something. And this is totally a CPU bound. There's no waiting time. So total time will be 16 plus some this switching time. Okay, switching time. So that's what we are getting in the result. Okay, now let's see CP bound task. CP bound. In this one, I am creating a some delay, means waiting time, just waiting time, and reducing this one. One more zero. Let's run this one, GIL 1 again. Now this is related to IO bounds. There is some IO bound task. Okay, 17 seconds, near about 17 seconds. Now let's see the GIL 2. Here I am creating the same kind of delay inside it, and the same number I'm passing it. According to the previous result, if 8 here, GIL 2 responding with 16, so in this time it should be 32 because 17. But what I'm getting near about the real result. Means it's 17 is closely about the 17 or 18. Okay, sometime the current load of operating system we need to check. Other condition too. Means it's just equal to the previous result. Means yeah, in this one parallel processing works. because there is a IO bound task, and in this one IO bound task thread can take the advantage and switching to this one and some do this one, okay, switching and do this work and switching in the delay time, internal delay times, IO bound time. Okay, so now you know where to use thread and where not to use thread. Means if there is IO bound, like opening the connection, MySQL connection, opening the MySQL connection, hard disk, some need to rewrite hard disk, like pinging the packets. Okay, in that kind of process, you can use thread. But like metric multiplication, there's a mathematical process, intensive mathematical process. There's no meaning to use the thread. Okay, in that kind of situation, use the multiprocessing. Yes, multiprocessing consume a lot of resources as well as memory, processing power, but that fit for that. But multiprocessing fits in that condition where the CPU bound task. You can imagine multiprocessing like a two-person for two tasks. Okay, in our next lecture, we will see the multiprocessing. Okay, so stay tuned for our next episode. Bye bye.